Welcome to Arcane the Brewcast. I'm Jamie, your Arcane brewer.
I'm Jake, your Arcane engineer.
Thank you to Mom Rock for the use of their song Conversation in the intro.
Tepache!
Yep, this time it is Tepache. For those of you who are not familiar, Tepache is a mildly alcoholic beverage indigenous to Mexico. It's made from pineapple, brown sugar, and spices, and it's fermented with the yeast right there on pineapple skin naturally. It ferments pretty quickly, so we should be able to try some before the end of the episode. So today we're going to brew a pineapple orange guava Tepache. Tepache was first brewed in pre-Columbian Mexico by the Nahua peoples. The word Tepache comes from Aztec for drink made from milled corn. That historical Tepache may have evolved into another fermented beverage called Tejuino, which is still made with corn and brown sugar, while mainstream Tepache gradually evolved from a drink made with corn and brown sugar and sometimes sweetened with pineapple to a drink primarily made with pineapple and brown sugar. Tepache can be found in outdoor markets, and there are a few packaged commercial versions, but since it ferments so quickly, it's most commonly found as homebrew. Tepache usually contains between 1 to 3% alcohol and is treated like a non-alcoholic beverage, like kombucha. But you can make it stronger, and ours is probably going to be somewhere between 4 and 5%. Time to make Tepache. First, we slice up our pineapples. We remove the crown and slice off the skins. We'll need some in the end. We cut the pineapple flesh into slices and set it aside in the freezer. A variety of spices are used in Tepache, and we're going to be making ours with cloves, ginger, and cinnamon. I measure out 2 tablespoons of whole cloves, then I peel some of the ginger, slice it thin, and set aside 2 tablespoons. We're going to use some of our leftover piloncillo, jaggery, and turbinado sugar from the king cake episode. I measure out about a pound of sugar for each pot. Then we add the cinnamon sticks, ginger, and cloves to the piloncillo and jaggery separately. Now, I take the pineapple out of the freezer to thaw. We're making a few different batches today. We're doing a few jars of pineapple orange guava Tepache. First, we slice the pineapple into chunks and put some in our first jar. Then we slice up the oranges, removing the peel, and add those to the jar too. Then I pour in the pot of piloncillo sugar and spices, and top off with guava nectar. Finally, I shove some pineapple skins in to serve as the source of our yeast. I fill 2 more jars up like this, using up all of the piloncillo sugar. For my 4th jar, I'm leaving out the orange and guava. This is going to be a basic Tepache, with just pineapple, jaggery sugar, and spices. I'm using these glass fermentation weights to keep the fruit below the surface of the liquid. We're also making Tepache with sweet baby rays. Click the link above to see the short where we brew that. We still have a lot of pineapple left, so I chop it up and puree it. Then I put the puree into a carboy and top that off with the last of the jaggery and spices. I shake it up pretty good, and then pitch D47 yeast on top. All 6 jars have distinctly different gravities, and that's not accounting for any of the sugar in the pineapple chunks, which I can't measure. Fermentation gets off to a slow start, and once it gets going, the room smells wonderful. The brown sugar and ginger are really prominent. We cut fermentation after 6 days so it doesn't get too dry and sour. It's time to try our Tepache. I dump the jar through a mesh bag and discard the solids. Since each jar of POG Tepache has a different starting gravity, I'm going to have to check each one individually and track the total volume to determine the strength of the final blend. I also filter the basic Tepache and the sweet baby ray Tepache. Once the POG Tepache is all blended into one jug, I chill it for a few hours and take it out to try a little. Alright, our Tepache is fermented, and I've chilled it a little bit. It is like clearly still fermenting in the jug, which is dangerous. It fermented to 4.46% once I blended it all together and kind of averaged out their respective gravities to figure out what they each got to. Pour a little more for this too. And this is pineapple, orange, and guava.
Tepache!
Tepache.
Very good, actually. I like the way it tastes.
Yeah, me too.
Fruity. Not tart at all. Maybe just like... I mean, there's like fruit tartness, but not the sour tartness I was expecting.
Yeah, so the yeast, there was never any pellicles. I don't think that this was lactobacillus or anything. I think this was a brewing yeast. I don't actually know what yeast done the deed. We should look at this under the microscope and see what there is to see about this yeast. Let's look at what we've got on this slide. The really plentiful white bean-looking guys are brewer's yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. The ones that look like little black noodles are lactobacillus, the bacteria that makes yogurt and kettle sour beer. In time, they would make our Tepache sour, but right now the yeast is out competing it for resources, and we're going to drink this batch before the balance starts to tilt the other way. Those enormous black walls closing in and pushing our yeast around are two bubbles of CO2 passing close and then merging. The yellowish chunk in the middle is probably a tiny piece of pineapple.
No, this is delicious.
Yeah, it came out very good.
Yeah.
Definitely getting the pineapple. Orange. Couldn't say about the guava.
How long did it take to make the start to finish?
6 days.
6 days. We'll do another batch before Jambo, because we need to bring a bottle of this up.
Sure. It also got off to a slow start. First few days, I think if we'd kept the room a little warmer, if I'd done certain other things with the jar, I think it probably would have kicked off faster. It's not strong. It's, light beer strength. It's the spot, though. Let's go see how our regular Tepache turned out, the one without the orange and the guava. We're back, and now we've got all of our Tepache. This is the stuff we were drinking earlier, but we've chilled it in the fridge, so we'll have a little more of that. We've got some of the regular Tepache with spices, but no orange or guava. And we have the sweet Baby Ray Tepache, which I made for some reason. We're gonna have some more of each of them. Here, Jake, here's some of the regular Tepache.
I know I like this.
That's just pineapple and spices, but it fermented dry.
This one tastes a little different than... This is the same one we had before, the same batch?
No, this one doesn't have orange or guava, and it fermented a little drier. A few days drier, and to my palate, tartar.
Much tartar.
Yeah.
Well, noticeably tartar, maybe not much tartar.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is that it's just drier. This one started off at only 1.025 as its starting gravity, and I didn't measure it, but it tastes pretty dry, so I'm guessing this is around 3, maybe 3.5%.
A little cloudy. But I think these are all going to be pretty cloudy just because of the nature of the fermentation. We're just throwing chunks of pineapple in there, and
This is fun. I don't love it.
I'm not a fan.
Here's some of the stuff we did have earlier, with the pineapple, orange, and guava.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
That just tastes like a juice.
Yeah, that just tastes delicious. It didn't ferment any more while it was in the fridge than before. And then here's the Tepache we made with Sweet Baby Ray's, and it smells like barbecue sauce.
This is just pineapple and barbecue sauce. Anything else in there?
This is pineapple, little spices and brown sugar, just like the others, and barbecue sauce.
Yeah, it smells like barbecue sauce. Tastes like barbecue sauce.
That tastes like barbecue sauce. Also sweet. I don't think it fermented very much. My guess, I'm not a huge fan. Pour that over some chicken. That'd be delicious, but not a huge fan.
Yeah, it would be.
I think probably the yeast that lives on the pineapple skins simply wasn't a good match for whatever was in the barbecue sauce. But that's pretty terrible, as probably anyone could have expected it to be. Let's have some more of the good stuff. Clink. So in conclusion, Tepache is pretty tasty if you put tasty things in it, and don't let it ferment too long because it'll get kind of sour. Give your Tepache 6 days to a week tops. Maybe less if you see fermentation happening in the first day or so. It took a little bit for us. And get inventive. Think of anything that's tasty with pineapple and try adding that.
Like ham.
Yeah, like ham.
Ham and pineapple.
Like ham. Try putting ham in your Tepache. Thanks for watching Arcane the Brewcast. Also, thank you to Mom Rock for the use of their song Conversation in the intro.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and catch us at the New England Homebrewers Jamboree, Tamworth, New Hampshire. It's a whole weekend of camping and drinking homebrew. If you're not already planning on going, you should consider going because it is a blast. And we go there every year, but this will be the first year we're going to be there as Arcane and not just as members of the Rhode Island Brewing Society.
Who are also awesome and going to be there.
Yes.
Visit both of our tents this September. Drink some of this, not literally this, because we're going to consume this. But a lot of other wines you've seen on this channel are going to be there in the tent, Tamworth, New Hampshire. September 8th and September 9th. Tepache?
Tepache! Is putting ham in Tepache dangerous?
Yes! Just to clarify, putting ham in Tepache could result in creating a culture of botulism. Don't do it. Don't do it. It was a goof, but
laugh.
It was.
Can't you take a joke?
I thought that maybe it would be so ridiculous that obviously no one would do it. Then I thought about the things we do, so just don't do it.
There is a beverage, a fermented beverage made with meat. I can't recall its name. Can you?
I mean, a few. Are you talking about cock ale or?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, cock ale is one. A historical ale brewed with an entire chicken.
That's going to be an episode, though, eventually.
Of course it'll be an episode. I'm not saying don't brew with meat. I'm saying don't specifically take ham and put it in a mildly acidic liquid solution with yeast because you're going to make some botulism ham water.